This is Theater Magic Live on 101.7, hosted by yours truly, Evan Berger. Tonight you will be getting the honor to listen in on an exclusive final scene from St. Joan. This play was written by Bernard Shaw in 1923, and its first premiere was on December 28th of 1923 in New York City. This was thought to be one of his greatest achievements due to the fact of its huge theatrical success. It was later awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1925. Well, since you are not going to be listening to the whole play, here is a brief summary of the characters and the plot previous to the scene that is coming next. First, we have Joan. She is a peasant woman who lived a simple life, but she constantly hears the voice of God in her head, and finally one day she decides to act on what God is telling her to do. The Dauphin Charles is a ruler that was most likely born into royalty. He had little to no passion for his work, and he is constantly being bullied into his every decision. Now we have Captain Jack Dunois, a good man who has a strong belief in Joan. He seems to be the one man who Joan can truly trust. He is an important factor in helping lead her to victory. But not everyone was to agree with Joan's way of thought, and the Champlain de Staugenber is one of them. He saw her to be a witch. He thought that a woman wearing male clothes and trying to lead an army was preposterous. He and Joan are on different sides of the battle, but seem to have similar values in the fact that they both have love for their native country. We also have the Bishop Cauchon. He makes the portrayal that he wants to do what is right, but constantly encounters problems to keep him from doing so. He is a man very loyal to the church. And finally we have Warwick, a feudal lord whose only concern is for himself. He only sees Joan as a threat to his authority and is not concerned with if the church sees her as a witch or is possessed by the devil. The play starts as Joan is at the doorstep of the castle of Vaucouleurs. With her persistence and determination, she works her way into the castle to meet Captain Robert de Baudricourt and persuade him into letting her go in to be in the presence of the Dauphin. She arrives at the court of the Dauphin and she picks him out of a crowd in spite them trying to trick her. The Dauphin thought of this to be a miracle, and with little convincing, the Dauphin grants her control of his army. She arrives in Orleans where she meets Dunois, a man who is leading the French troops. Dunois needs the wind to change so he could launch an attack. When Joan arrives, the wind changes. He is sure that she was sent from God. While Joan was liberating the English, her enemies were plotting to see her end, most of which was to see her die a brutal death. Joan continues to win battles and has Charles crowned as king, but she is still not satisfied because Paris is still under English control. Now that you've been caught up with the dramatic adventure of Joan, we now present our Theater Magic Live exclusive final scene written and presented by Evan Berger. Hello, before we get started, I would like to tell you a brief message on how this final scene will take place. We will have Joan going to fight the battle in Paris, and she will win. The English are furious, and despite her winning the war, she will be assassinated. We can see victory in our grasp. We must go for Paris, and with God on our side, we mustn't lose. Are you mad? They tower us in numbers. We shall never prevail in an act so absurd. If you cannot understand that it is God's will that has driven me to this great victory, and with this final act I will have completely obeyed my Lord and carried out his every command, he could not fail me now, as I see that what seems to be the impossible can very well be possible with God on your side.
You are sick with faith, and I cannot allow my men to follow you into a battle that would only result in a great number of loss.
You cannot stop me now, and your men shall follow. I am sure of it. Without your help, I can still go to rise above the English. Joan storms out quickly into the courtyard. Commander, it seems that as if you are not satisfied. What could be the matter? I am but not angry, as I am determined. I will go to battle with or without the aid of my soldiers. If you choose to follow in the steps the Lord has placed for us, then meet here at dawn. And for those who cower in the fear of the enemy, well, may God have mercy on your soul. Woo! 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 Joan saw many soldiers on her side willing to fight against the English and disobey the order of the king. Joan marched steadily towards her sleeping chambers with confidence of the battle that was to come in the morning. These men are blinded by your heroity. They are unaware of the immense battle ahead. You must reconsider. Too many men will be lost.
There will always be more men. These men will die with faith in God, and they will be named saints in heaven. This is God's command, and we will prevail. What is this that I hear? My men are choosing to follow you into battle.
Sir, we choose to battle because Joan proves to us that we can prevail if we have faith. We have been shown it many times that she is the prospect of God and that she will lead us to victory. Joan, you have convinced my men, but still have not yet convinced me. But because my men are so struck by your offer, I hereby give you the right to my men in battle.
The Lord will see this act, and it will not be forgotten. Thank you, sir. Paris is ours for the taking. Onward!
Joan leads the army off into the distance.
We're nearly there. We mustn't slow. Men, ready your swords!
And at this moment, Joan heard the voice in her head. My loyal servant, this will be your final battle.
Attack! Ah!
Joan and her men fought hard, and as they already presumed, they were outnumbered. But the English never saw it coming. The surprise attack was exactly the advantage Joan needed to win.
They are retreating! Keep fighting! Our battle's end is near!
Joan has been knocked from her horse. I'm afraid she has been shot. Oh no, our fearless leader! What shall we do? With her last breath, she said,
This is God's plan. This is what is meant to be.
With this final remark, Joan faded to her death, and even though the battle was not over, there was a breeze of tranquility that flowed over the battlefield. Dunois, look to the distance. It's the soldiers. I can see them. Impossible. They could not have won. It must only be the survivors that retreated. But they bear the flag of victory. Sire, we have won! We have liberated Paris! But as the men closed in, they could see a soldier being carried on their shoulders. That is very irregular to bring a fallen soldier back from the battle, unless, God have mercy, it must be Joan. The soldiers brought Joan back to the Dunois. We shall arrange a proper burial. It is what God would have wanted. God wanted her in the heavens. God will name her a saint. Then the wind died, and the sun was shining brightly onto Joan's face. Now our Savior is finally at peace. Once again, this is Evan Berger from Theater Magic Live at 101.7. We would like to give credit to Evan Berger, who played the parts of Joan, the Dauphin, the Archbishop, Dunois, and the soldiers. I encourage you to listen in every Thursday at 7 p.m. Next week, we will be hearing a final scene from Romeo and Juliet. You won't want to miss it. I hope you enjoyed the show.